long as Akron's okay, that's what we're concerned about right now. Jon Mozes, Altoona Curve, with us this morning. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm, best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Later today, the Altoona Curve opening the season against the Akron Rubber Ducks. John, I know you've been looking forward to this for a long time, and it seems like you have a pretty loaded up ball club there.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I mean, we've got several guys that had big roles for Altoona last year that are back. Guys like Sung-Chae Chang and Jackson Glenn and Matt Frazier among the position player group. You know, guys that have some experience here. But then you have a lot of pretty intriguing pitching that made it here last year. Guys like Anthony Solomito and Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ashcraft. Sean Sullivan is back. You know, he was one of the top 5 or 6 pitchers in the Eastern League last year, according, by ERA. And, it's great to have familiar faces and a couple of new guys mixed in. There's a couple minor league free agents and that kind of thing that are here. So should be an interesting mix to start the season.
I know Robbie Hammock, the new manager, was talking the other day about the fact that, he's known a lot of these guys when he was at Greensboro. He's got them now here in Altoona. And he said, that could be a good thing. It can be a bad thing if they sort of stop listening. But at this level, at Double-A, everybody's listening because they're trying to make the next step.
Absolutely. And I thought that was a really sage point made by Robbie Hammock that, on your way through the minor league system, you need to get exposed to guys that are maybe more player focused or maybe, other guys that are maybe more a little old school. You need to get sort of exposed to different styles of managers and of coaches. Obviously a player has the way that they like to receive information and they build relationships with guys that they sort of vibe with. But when you get to the major leagues, the major league staff sort of is what it is when you get there, and you need to be able to build a relationship with almost anybody. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But, I think from Robbie's perspective to start the year here, having relationships with so many guys to start the season because he had them a year ago, I think that's really going to help this team get off to a good start this year.
And we remember last year when there was so much high hope for the Curve because of all of the talent that was there. And now a lot of those guys are either in Pittsburgh or in Indianapolis, and the talent level doesn't seem to have gone on down at all. He really likes the arms, and he likes the bats too.
Yeah, he got that question at media day. He's been a manager before. He did 4 years in the Diamondbacks minor league system as a manager, working his way to Double-A, then was eventually on the major league staff. And he thought that this sort of core group of talent that he has is the most talented group he's had to start a season when he's managing a minor league club. And, Robbie's been around a long time. He played the major leagues with Arizona, was on their major league staff for a 5-year run under Torey Lovello. So he's sort of seen quite a bit over the years. And, for him to say that, I thought was pretty impactful and, sort of speaks to the talent that's here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with those arms because you mentioned 3 of them that he was talking about the other day, and it starts with the guy on the mound tonight, Bubba Chandler. He's a special talent.
He sure is. And, Bubba is the kind of guy that can fly through a minor league system because he's got the type of fastball that is going to play in the major leagues. It's 95 to 98 miles an hour with some real ride on it, So if you think about a pitcher, sometimes they try to work down in the strike zone. Bubba's specialty is working that fastball above the belt, toward the letters, the upper part of the strike zone. The ball sort of hops out of his hand a little bit, and it comes out hot. So, that is sort of the first step for Bubba this year is to sort of establish that fastball and then show the other stuff, sliders, curveballs, changeups. This is a guy that I think, Todd, could move pretty quick. If he looks electric through 7 or 8 or 9 starts this year, a little bit like we saw with Jared Jones last year, I think he's a guy that could push his way into the major league conversation late in this season. Because, I think that's something the Pirates are looking at is, can we pull 1 or 2 of these guys from the minor league system once we get to the end of the season, if they're still contending in July, August, September, and use those guys to win games in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know one of the things that he pointed to the other day was the fact that you just need to look at the Pirates roster right now, and the guy that's pitching tonight is a prime example of that, and see that it's not a very long trip from Altoona to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's only 2 hours by car in the first place, and if you're a guy like Jared Jones and you show off your stuff like he did, yeah, they're going to promote you and they're going to use you in the major leagues. I think that is sort of the new attitude that these guys are taking this year at the major league level, that the goal is to win major league games. And, Bubba was talking about his experience at major league spring training. And, like many others, he was talking about how he was a little starstruck when he first saw and met Andrew McCutchen in the home clubhouse. It's a guy he grew up watching, winning the NL MVP back in 2013. But Bubba being around Major League Spring Training, seeing how those guys go about their work every day, about how they're grinding day to day to get better, that he feels this confidence that, it's really coming, that those guys have a chance to have a really good season in the big leagues.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Of course, the Curve, they're open with their 3-game series happening in Akron this weekend, but then a day off on Monday and then the home opener on Tuesday. It's going to be a special time.
Yeah, Tuesday night we will have post-game fireworks. The Harrisburg Senators are in town, Washington Nationals affiliate, and they're a club that has a lot of prospects themselves. We saw Dylan Cruz last year here in Altoona. He'll be back for opening day. And then going ahead in the week, we've got our great daily promotions on Wednesdays. Thursday is our Thursday with $2 hot dogs and $3 select draft beers. And then the Paul Skeens bobblehead and bobble mustache is the giveaway on Saturday for a 4:00 game. This thing is really cool. And if you have tickets to the game, I highly encourage you to arrive early because these are going to go quick. It's the first 1,000 fans. It's the first Paul Skeens bobblehead ever made. And this one, his mustache also bobbles. So it's really unique. It's certainly the kind of thing you're going to want on your shelf for a long time. And, while we had hoped that Paul would open the season here and that maybe he could pitch, a day or two around his bobblehead day. Obviously it wasn't in the cards because he looked so good at spring. But, it's just a great way to start the year, these 6 games against Harrisburg at home next week.
Yeah, fans going to have a lot of fun at P&G Field all season long. And certainly the kickoff to the season probably couldn't come fast enough for these guys. They come up from Florida and they spend a week in this kind of weather up here. Our guy Bob Pollock, who's with us, the Talking Gardening and Lawns and Gardens and things of that nature, says when plants get outside for the first time, you sort of have to season them up, and and that's what's been happening with these Altoona Curve ball players. If they come back from Florida and they got to get seasoned up here for the rigors of a season.
Yeah, a couple of guys were talking about that in the last 2 days. They were able to get out on the field yesterday and a little bit on Wednesday in the late afternoon to sort of get acclimated to the 30s and 40-degree weather that we're going to have this weekend in Akron. But fortunately, it's not going to rain. It looks like we are clear to play baseball all 3 days in Akron, and looks like when we get back in town, it's going to be in the 60s. So these guys may have dodged some of the worst of the April weather in terms of game times.
Well, you're going to have a great time this weekend in Akron. We're going to have a great time watching the Altoona Curve all season long, and you'll be back with us at your normal slot, 9:45 next Friday. John, thanks so much for the visit today.
Thanks so much, guys. Talk to you soon.
There's Jon Mozes, the Altoona Curve. They're getting ready, literally, to get on the bus